As we're rolling through our number one as we go through the 8-man through Class 3A with Dave Biggin and myself, BJ Shaven. We'll take a look at the 4A at a little bit more in-depth level as we talk to some of the coaches coming up in our number two. Well, let's take a look at Class 2A, and this has been a class, Dave, that has been absolutely dominated the last 5 years by Solon. 55-5. What a record they put up, and they've got loads of talent.
And the thing is that Kevin Miller tries to do is be honest. And after the championship and all that, you know, he didn't come out. He's got a lot of Ed Thomas qualities in him, and he's a very special guy, and he's an emotional guy. And he was just flat out honest, I think, with some of the media at the end of that championship game. It's like, look, obviously James Morris might be one of the best players in the state of Iowa, and he's like, and then that class that surrounds him might be the best class Solon has. It's one of the keys to why they are where they are. So, you know, without him coming out and saying, you know, we should probably be pretty good, and I mean, they're just going to be. And you've seen these roles when they happen, and you've seen the start of I mean, Harlan and Emmitsburg and those schools have always been there, but then the Valley start and the Bettendorfs are kind of there, and then they get on these rolls. Well, and St. Albert finally cracked it, and then they got on that little roll. They haven't maintained it to state championship level, but they've maintained the. But I'm wondering, you know, it's going to be hard to beat. So, I mean, flat out. If you're picking any other team in this district or this class, you're crazy. So I don't know why we would go through the rest of them, but you never know.
We've got to. As you take a look at IKM Manning, maybe the team out of the West that will play Solon in the championship game, and then you've got Wellman Mid-Prairie in at another semi-tough team, along with North Fayette. And North Fayette's been that other dominant team in 2A that's been overshadowed by Solon. Right. They're 50-7 in the last 5 years as North Fayette.
Yeah, North Fayette, you know, yeah, they're like, you know, Donnie Schatz before he won the Knoxville Nationals. I mean, he was like fourth 100 times in a row, but Solon has the number. And so, you know, we're big IKM Manning fans, I think, and so you just never know that it will take a special team to possibly do that. And here we are, we're not even mentioning Central Lyon yet, and well, they've only been to the state championship, you know, forever too. And I think that people shouldn't underestimate Coach Lawrence and the group. You know, Toby does such a good job, but yeah, I think North Fayette's just and Mid-Prairie, they're just not in Solon's class right now as far as matching them. And you know, I don't know. I don't think James Morris was 100% last year in the Dome either, and that's kind of scary.
Well, let's take a look at the other Dome contenders here. Was Sumner Fredericksburg, West Marshall, Roland Story, a team that played Solon competitively in that semifinal game last year, and then you've got Wilton, their Central Iowa, and then also Dike New Hartford, and as part of the Dome contenders this year. Just some other teams. Plus, you take a look at another talented player. His team didn't even get thrown into this mix, which is Brock Massner, a middle linebacker out of Minneapolis. He, too, is very powerful, getting some looks at the next level, too, as well. 2A is kind of a loaded field, but you're right. Solon is definitely the team to beat.
You know, and you talked about great players. We talked about, I think you and I talked about the Furch kid in the break from West Marshall. Sumner Fredericksburg, you got some tradition there with those two programs, and they made a little bit of a push last year. Seemed to be playing some pretty good football and played tough towards the end. I like what Coach Lance Peterson's doing at Wilton. You can't, and we had Central Lyon and Dike New Hartford right in there in those Dome contenders. You know, Ken Winkler is a great coach, but Roland Story impressed me. And I think, you know, Coach Miller, after the game, he was a little bit surprised, I think, that it was as close. But, you know, he was honest, too, with the media, and he said, you know, we don't get too crazy when we get up here in the first game. We just make sure we don't beat ourselves. And you could see in the championship game, no matter what they did against, you know, Central Lyon, it just worked. And it was hard because they were trying, hey, don't, you know, but you can't tell kids to not quick. They ended up scoring like 60 points, didn't they? So I don't know. There are some very strong teams right here in the Dome contenders.
Certainly are, but what about the Dome Busters? These are teams we think that have a shot at least knocking somebody off and getting to the Dome themselves. Boyd and Whole Rock Valley, Cascade. How about Carroll Kemper Catholic? Gilbert, Iowa City, Regina, PCM. Team also to be recognized out of Southeast Iowa, and then also Humboldt, another powerful team out of the north that did win the championship just, what, a couple of years ago?
In 3A.
Yeah, in 3A, and now they're down in 2A. So
Coach Thomas. Yeah, and it was neat because when we went to Emmitsburg, we rode with AP on the way to Emmitsburg, and so Humboldt was where they stopped. And my brother and I were shooting video of them leaving Parkersburg, so then we were like, you know, it was snowing, and we're driving, we're trying to get by them, and they stopped at Humboldt, and we knew that. So then we got to one side of the town, and by the time we got our camera set up and everything, they were, you know, Ed just wasn't good. So we missed that, but that's a neat program. But I like PCM speed. I think a kid that tore his ACL last year and will be back is Joey Gilson. Look for him to be one of the best players in that district, if not one of the best players in 2A. Regina, it seems like they do a good job of building that program, and so, yeah, and Gilbert, I mean, I like what Utter does. He's crazy too, and he gets kids fired up, and I think that's neat. So, yeah, there's some 2A schools here that, you know, really PCM had a lot of injuries last year, and I think we kind of forgot about them. But I remember a coach telling me in week 7, boy, if they get healthy, look out. So they've kind of been the power in that district, but, you know, there's been some ups and downs. But we'll see. PCM, Roland Story, West Marshall, Central Iowa are pretty good teams.